Hi everyone, this is Jarle from Handmade's Card, Happy Heart. I'm thankful that you're here. Today I have this card using the Foxy Family die set from Lawn Fawn. Now let's go check out the items that I used. It's an almost all die cut card, so I have this snowy backdrop, the forest backdrop, and then the Foxy Family die set, which is from the new spring release. And then for my sentiment, I used the new Berry Rainy Day stamp set from Lawn Fawn. Off camera, I already die cut everything with some black licorice cardstock and then also some Transotype coloring paper. I used the Transotype coloring paper since I was going to be Copic coloring my two foxes here. You can see the coloring process. For my fox, I used the E37, YR27, and YR24. This is my favorite combination for foxes. It's a little bit more of an orangey look. I also like the more brown looks, but I wanted to go for this specific combination for my cards today. So as always, I'm starting out with my darkest shade, which is the E37 here. Then I'm blending it out with the YR27 and then blending that one out with my lightest shade. Then for my grays, I used some neutral grays. So here you can see me using the N0, and then I'm just blending this out with my colorless blender, since it will be mostly white on its face and on its tail there. Now, with some liquid glue, I just glue down that frame of the fox. To make sure that I don't have glue all over, I just put it on, I just dab it onto a little scrap piece of paper, and this makes sure that you don't have glue all over that base die cut. So I did that for the two foxes. After that, I put down little dots of glue everywhere so I can puzzle piece every little die cut back into that frame, so that you can see that it's all coming together, so that it becomes a fox with a black frame around it. So it kind of looks like a stamped black image, but it still gives it a very unique look, I think. I really love those new paper piecing dies, because just like gluing everything down and puzzle piecing everything, I just find it very therapeutic and very relaxing. It all comes together nicely. And I also find that you can do multiple techniques with it. You can ink blend everything, you can Copic color everything, use watercolor markers, etc. To put in those teeny tiny eyes of the fox, I use that negative space, and then with my tweezer I kind of push down that little dot of an eye so that it's in the perfect place. And I also do this with both foxes. Then to make the eyes stand out a little bit more, I use a jelly roll pen in a black color, and I just go over the eyes with that jelly roll pen. Now for my background, I die cut the snowy backdrop out of some Blue Jay cardstock. And the trees are from Noble Fir cardstock, and then that lighter green is from Cilantro cardstock. Now I did want to ink blend a little bit, just to give it a little more interest, a little more detail, so I used my Distress ink in Lucky Clover for this. For those teeny tiny die cuts, I always use my Bitty blender brushes from Tailored Expressions. Then for my Blue Jay background, or that Blue Jay cardstock, I also wanted to give it more of a halo effect. So for achieving that, I went over the edges with my chipped sapphire and black soot distress ink. So first I start off with the distress ink in chipped sapphire, and then I'm just going over it again with that black soot. And this gives it a nice halo effect and makes the background look even more stunning and looks even more interesting. So that's how it looks. I'm going over that again and again until I'm happy with the result. And then I'm gluing down my trees together. So I have that ink blended top tree there. And then for that starry background, I just used some sticky note cardstock from Lawn Fawn. And I'm gluing that snowy backdrop, that blue background. I'm just gluing this directly on top of that sticky note cardstock. Then I die cut my forest backdrop out of some Lawn Fawn craft paper. And I think I have used many and many, or I have tried many colors of craft cardstock, but really this one from Lawn Fawn is my favorite. I think this is really the perfect craft color. I just glued my 4 trees directly onto that forest backdrop. Then I used some foam squares, some foam adhesive to put all around that forest backdrop. Then I released all those backing papers and then I put this on top of my snowy backdrop. I did use lots and lots of foam tape because I like my cards to be very firm and not saggy when they get through the mail. So now to adhering my foxes. Mama Fox is glued down directly onto that snowy backdrop. And then that little fox, which represents me then, is glued on top of that frame of the forest backdrop. So I'm just gluing down that bottom of the fox there, so it adheres to that bottom edge. But then I also put down a foam square behind it, just to get it even with the rest of the cards. Another foam square behind his tail, and then now I can move on to the sentiment. So I'm prepping my paper or my cardstock with some anti-static powder, and then using Versamark ink I'm stamping down my sentiment, which says I love you. I think this is perfect for a Mother's Day card. I'm not using my MISTI for this, just using a regular stamping block. And then sprinkling on my white heat embossing powder, tapping off all the excess, and then off camera I heat set it with my heat gun. Now, as always, I can't cut straight, so I use my sentiment banners to cut out my sentiment. And then with my paper trimmer I just trim off the edges, and then I can glue down my sentiment onto my card panel. So again, I'm doing one side just with some liquid glue, making sure this is all put down straight. I am not good at eyeballing this, but I think it worked out okay for this card. And then again, a little foam square on that left edge of the sentiment. Now for my card panel, I adhere my card panel onto my side-folded card base, just using my tape runner. And this finishes off the card for today. I really hope you like it. I really love how it turned out. If you like this content, please consider subscribing to this channel and giving this video a thumbs up. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!